Hari Om. We'll chant this Shanti mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So now we will study Bhrigu Valli. This is the third Valli in Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad is from Krishna Yajurved. So Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, Atharvaved. We have these four Vedas, and in this Krishna Yajurved are also two types, Shukla Yajurved and Krishna Yajurved. So this Upanishad is found in Krishna Yajurved. We have already seen the Brahmananda Valli. Before that is Shiksha Valli, and now we will study this Bhrigu Valli. So, these Upanishads, which are found in the Vedas, are also called Vedanta. Vedanta, one meaning is it's in the end portion of Vedas. There are various branches in Vedas, and after every branch there is an Upanishad. So it is found in the end portion, therefore it is called Vedanta. Anta means end portion. But Anta also means the Laksha, the ultimate aim and goal. That's also another meaning of the word Anta. Therefore Vedanta means the ultimate goal or Laksha indicated in the Vedas, the culmination of the Vedic teaching is in the Upanishad. Upanishads are called Pramana. Pramana means means of knowledge. When we go through the Upanishad properly, we gain knowledge. So the question is, why should we gain knowledge? Before we take up the Upanishad, little introduction. So what knowledge you are talking about? And why we should gain this knowledge? See, in the world, we know the importance of knowledge. We acquire a lot of things through action. Action is very important. Whatever we want to achieve in this world, we have to perform action, appropriate action. And as a result of this action, we get whatever we want. But in order to perform those actions, and why we perform action? To fulfill our desires. All of us, we have a stock of desires, and we perform actions to fulfill those desires. And why we want to fulfill our desires? Because whenever we fulfill desires, we become happy. Desires make us happy. Fulfillment of desires make us happy. Therefore we fulfill desires. But why we want to become happy? Why not just remain miserable? No, this is a natural urge. Every being, not only human beings, but every being, they are born with this natural urge to become happy, to seek happiness. So all our desires are also aimed at this only. Because after fulfillment of all desires, whatever desires, we feel happy. And only when we feel happy, we feel satisfied that, desire is fulfilled. So, in order to fulfill our desires, we have to put forth effort. There are people, without effort, they can also fulfill their desire if they are lucky, if they are born in a good family, if they have a proper surrounding around, then their desires get fulfilled more easily. But others, they have to really struggle very hard to fulfill desires. Even our day-to-day things, to get them, some places sometimes it becomes very difficult. So, but unless we gain them, we don't feel satisfied, we don't feel happy. So our whole life is a struggle, effort to fulfill our desires. And what is the importance of knowledge? The worldly knowledge. We send our children to school to gain knowledge. We send them to college to gain knowledge. What is the importance of this knowledge? It helps us to fulfill our desires. You get a good job, you can start some business, whatever. So, knowledge, it helps us to fulfill our desires more efficiently. Therefore, we strive to learn the skills in this world. But we find that even after studying a lot and trying to fulfill our desires, always some desires remain unfulfilled. Every person, many person, not every, but except those who attain self-realization, when we die, we have some unfulfilled desires. Again we are born then. These desires make us take more birth. Again we are born. Again we spend our whole life fulfilling desires. So this goes on. While fulfilling those desires, we encounter anger, jealousy, pride, greed, fear, dejection, rejection, depression. All sorts of things we have to face when we are striving to fulfill our desires. So there is importance of knowledge in the world we know. But that knowledge doesn't help us to fulfill all our desires, to gain that state of total bliss, total happiness. It has got its own limitation. But in Vedanta, the Upanishads, they say that the whole problem is your desires, you keep on fulfilling your desires. The problem is not of the desires, but of not knowing yourself. We don't know ourselves, therefore we have so many desires which we keep trying to fulfill. And as long as we don't know ourselves as we are, no desire can satisfy us. So it will go on and on. So we have to know ourselves, recognize ourselves as we are. Now, question generally people might ask is how do you know I don't know myself? If I know myself, I have my visiting card also. I have my Facebook account also, my Twitter also, my this also, that also. So many things are there. You put my name and it comes in the internet also. So not only I, but the whole world knows who am I. So why do you say, I don't know myself? See, we have not given a deep thought to it. When somebody asks us, who are you? We might give our name, our gender and all. But all this happens we talk about ourselves, our body, our mind, but every day it keeps on changing. So what I am saying one day may not be true the next day. One day I am saying I am a very happy person. Next day I find myself depressed and I say I am very sad. So make sure now, are you happy or are you sad? Are you young or are you old? In my childhood, I said I am a child. Then I grew, I say I am a young man. I am a girl, I am a boy. So this, depending on the changing phenomena of this body, I keep on changing my own identity also. Also depending on the changing mind, I keep calling myself differently. Happy, unhappy, sad, glad, etc. So exactly who am I is not very clear. Not clear. Then again, when I dream, I go into a different world altogether. I might be sick in my waking state, but in my dream I go mountaineering. I might be totally different in my waking, but in my dream I am different. I might be sleeping in Delhi, but in my dream I must be in Honolulu. Yeah? It's quite possible. So if somebody asks me there, where are you? I will say Honolulu. But when I wake up, somebody asks, where are you? I say Delhi. So the whatever I say about I is not fixed. It keeps on changing. Whatever I know about I is not fixed. It's not determined. It keeps on changing. Therefore, even in deep sleep state, I don't know where I was. I don't know how I was. When I wake up, somebody asks me, I say, I don't know. I was asleep, but I don't know what was I, who was I. But I know that I was there. So I am not very sure about my own nature. What I am sure is that I am, that I exist. There is no doubt about it. But I am not sure about my nature. Who am I is not very clear. The basic I, the deep, that I am not very clear about it. I don't know where I was, whether I was before I was born. I don't know what will happen after this body falls off. Nothing is clear about the self, really speaking. And the most strange and the most wonderful thing is that very rarely people have jidnyasa about the self. It is a very strange thing. We don't have jidnyasa about ourselves. Suppose in your neighborhood one strange fellow comes, you will all the time, kaun hai ye? Kahan hai? And you will specially do some investigation. कितने बजे आता है, कितने बजे जाता है, कौन से कपड़े पहना है, what is he carrying with him? नहीं? So you will be totally, because you only know that that fellow is. Sometimes you don't know whether what is his gender also, he or she. So one is so curious to know कौन है, कहाँ से आता है, कहाँ आ गया, क्या कर रहा है, कौन क्या. It's called curiosity. We have curiosity. We have inquisitiveness. What are you doing? What is that in your hand? From where you got it? Why are you? What is that? Inquisitiveness. But jidnyasa, very rare. Jidnyasa about the self. Nachiketa had it. All these great rishis they have. And why we don't have jidnyasa? Because we are not very sure that we don't know ourselves. It is the most greatest puzzle. It's a very great, and little children they have many times. They ask their parents, कि who am I? Mummy, please tell me. मैं कौन हूँ? Where was I? Why I was not present during your marriage and all? Where was I? From where I have come? And we keep them telling some cock and bull stories, but that jidnyasa is there. So when we think deeply, that is very first step in Vedanta, to understand Vedanta, is to have this jidnyasa. If that jidnyasa is not there, then the Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, will not make any sense, because they are the answer to this question. They are answer to the question, who am I? And it is not just on faith, it is not just on some, just like that, but it is a very, very serious, like a science, book of science. Even in the field of science, sometimes they come up with this question, what it is? What is this atom? What is it made up of? Then they don't rest till they find out. They keep doing some experiment till they find out. It's so, these atoms are so fine, you can't imagine how fine they are. We can't see them. But still, scientists, they have done experiments and they have found out so many things about the atoms. That there are these electrons, protons, neutrons and all. There are subatomic particles and how they behave. So many things they have found out. Why? Because that jidnyasa is there. What is it? Kahan se? Kaise? Similarly, Vedanta begins when we have the jidnyasa. Ki main kaun? Seriously, not just for the namesake, not for chanting. Koham, koham, soham, soham. Not for chanting. It's seriously, very sincerely, that question when it comes in our heart. Ki who am I? And the answer is there. Answer has to be what called the answers is given in our scriptures. Who am I? I cannot know through my all other faculties of knowing. See, if I want to know about atoms, I can use my eyes. If not directly, then indirectly. I can do some experiments and all and find out how it behaves. Like they found out how light behaves by doing some experiment. Because they found out that light not only behaves like waves, but also behaves like photons, like particles. Photons, they call it. They did some experiment and they got the interference pattern and all. They came to know that light also behaves like waves and all. So similarly, we can find out about this world through our senses. If not directly, we can do anuman, we can infer, we can compare. So these are the praman, pratyaksha, anuman, upaman, arthapatti. These are various pramans to find out exactly what is the nature of this world. And who finds out? Our own eyes, our mind, our intellect. Intellect has got the capacity to understand the world. And lot of things we have understood. Human beings have really gained tremendous knowledge about the world. Not only this world, but they are trying to find out what is happening in other outer space also. They came to, in the good old days, they thought that this itself is our world with all the stars and all, which they called the universe. Then they came to know that there are other galaxies. Billions of galaxies are there. So we have the capacity to know who we are. To know the world. But all this faculty fail to know myself. Because what I am in the waking state is a mixture of I plus what is not I. In my waking state, I am totally enveloped by the body, by the mind, by my intellect, by my thoughts. So exactly to pinpoint my nature is very difficult in this state. कि कौन है मैं? In the dream also I am mixed up with this mind intellect. In the deep sleep state I become free from this mind intellect body. I become separated from them. That is the chance for me to recognize myself. But unfortunately, that time I don't have my senses, I don't have my mind, I don't have my intellect to know myself. The faculty, the instrument by which I can know myself, they are not available when I am in deep sleep state. So, I am there, but I don't know who I am. It's like like suppose I want to see how my eyes look when I close them. I stand in front of the mirror, but when I look, my eyes are open. If I close, then the eyes are not there to see how I look. Similarly, in the deep sleep state, though I am alone, though I am what I am there, but I don't know. So the praman, all the means of knowing myself fail. I cannot know. Some people may say, oh, I can meditate and know myself. Meditation is just quietening the mind, the intellect. It is like sleep only. In sleep also, mind and intellect are absolutely quiet. They are not doing anything. Just by quietening the mind and intellect, I cannot know myself. In deep sleep state, the mind is absolutely still, the intellect is still. I am alone there, but still I don't know myself. So just by meditating, meditating means quietening the mind, that itself will not lead to self-knowledge. So there seems to be no way, but no, there is a way. And that way is the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Upanishads. The Upanishads are the strange, very wonderful gift of Ishvara to us, in which our nature, who we are, is revealed. Not only it is told who we are, but also the steps by which we can experience ourselves as we are. See, the proof of a pudding is in eating. Suppose I have a pudding and I keep telling you it's most wonderful and nice and this and that. You might believe, but it will not be like total 100% proof. Only when you eat. Similarly, the proof of praman, all praman are finally in experience. Suppose I see smoke and I infer that there is fire, the proof is only when I actually see fire there. Otherwise, it is just a theory. Similarly, the scriptures, if they are saying that you are so and so, you are that Brahma, the proof will be in final experience only. Otherwise, it is just theory. So, if you follow the scriptures, Upanishads, they will not only reveal who you are, who we are, but they also reveal how to experience ourselves. That's aparoksha anubhuti, how to gain the aparoksha anubhuti of ourselves. To help us in our pursuit, we take support of the teacher who guides us, and we follow this path and recognize ourselves. We have seen the Brahmananda Valli, in which the Brahma was indicated as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. So, that Brahma is indicated as our own self. But how to experience that Brahma? How to go about finally recognizing and getting established in that Brahma? That also has to be revealed. So that is revealed in this Bhrigu. In this Bhrigu, we have the story of a teacher and the student. And just as in Chandogya Upanishad also, the teacher is father and the student is his own son. In Kali Yuga, they say parents will call and teach children how to earn money, not Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya is not taught. But in the Vedas it is said, father, like Chandogya Upanishad, he teaches his son, Shvetaketu. So here also we have the son Bhrigu and his father Varuna. And Bhrigu approaches his father and just, not too many words and all, he just requests him, please teach me that Brahma. He had heard that Brahma is our own self. So he is requesting his father to teach him that Brahma. Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. And then the father teaches him. And the more the stress is given here on the process, that the means of recognizing and experiencing that Brahma. And that means is tapa. Satapo tapyata, satapas taptva. Tapas means contemplation. Focused contemplation. We'll see as we go along. So that is being presented again and again as the means of realizing that Brahma as our own self. So, we will see the technique, and also some upasanas are mentioned in this Valli, and a very beautiful portion at the end of a realized master and the song of enlightenment. We have given title to this series also. So the realized person, master, he sings, means his experience, his state of enlightenment, he expresses through words. So that is a beautiful portion. It's a small, Valli. So let us briefly see the Shanti Mantra and then we'll proceed. We'll chant together the Shanti Mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We have seen this Shanti mantra before. So Om Sahana Vavatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is a prayer for peace. So before we take up this study, the teacher and the student together they pray for peace. So let there be peace within, let there be peace in the surrounding, and let there be peace in the whole world. This is a prayer addressed to Ishvara. Ishvara is the master of this whole world, Brahma. And we pray to Ishvara that, oh Ishvara, let there be peace in my mind, in my intellect, in my body, in my senses. Let me be very peaceful. Why? Because in that state of peacefulness, I will be able to comprehend what is said. If my mind is restless, if I have some other thing, agenda going on in the mind, udhar jana hai, idhar karna hai, ye karna hai, then it is not possible. One should have leisure to study the scriptures also. One should have leisure. Now we are just studying here, but really speaking, one should stay at one place, in ashram and all, and calmly study. ऐसा नहीं भाग दौड़ करके भागो, फिर से आओ, फिर से जाओ. But this is the second option. Not the best option. Best option is to first class, ekdam shant. Anyway, I don't want to describe the best option. But हमारे all this description of this, all these Upanishads and all, except Bhagavad Gita, right in the battlefield. Situation was such. If one is jidnyasu, if one is ready, then even in the battlefield we can learn. There is no problem. But otherwise, if the whole atmosphere is calm and peaceful, it becomes more effective to learn. We have seen in Prashnopanishad also, they come, stay there in the ashram for 1 year, and then they ask their question. So let there be peace in within, peace in the surrounding, and let there be peace in the whole world. So Om Sahana Vavatu. Oh Lord, please protect us. Because when we are focusing our attention to study, we are not aware of what is happening, so we might be vulnerable for the outside world. So protect us. So Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahana Bhunaktu. May we enjoy this study together. Only when there is enjoyment, teacher and student, that adhyayan, study happens very nicely. Saha viryam karvavahe. May we put forth effort together. The teacher as well as student have to put forth effort. We have to not be passive. It is not just listening to pravachan. It is a study. Our Pujya Gurudev is to even Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad also, like we do now, with book, with notebook, taking down notes, then discussing it, understanding, contemplating. It's a study, not just passive pravachan, like we see a serial and then forget about it. Not like that. It's a serious, sincere study. If there are some questions and all, you should come, ask, discuss, clarify it. Like we go to school, college, we just don't go there without just, sikhao, padhao, yeah. We take our notebooks and this, that, write down and all. So serious studies. So for that we have to put forth effort. Saha viryam karvavahe tejasvinavaditamastu. May my understanding, aditam, be tejasvi, very brilliant and bright. My grasping should be clear. It should be as clear as something on your palm. It should be, actually the subject is made very clear in Upanishads. There is no chance for vagueness. It is not about ऐसा भी हो सकता है, वैसा भी हो सकता है. That is not that is not then proper. That is not called knowledge then. Suppose somebody asks you what is 2 plus 2. 5 भी हो सकता है, 6 भी हो सकता है, 3.5 भी हो सकता है. उसमें क्या है, सब अपनाना चाहिए. 2 भी हो सकता है. Because it is not depending on our mood. It depends on the object as it is. The knowledge is based on the object as it is. If it is black, it is black. Even if my mood is blue, still it is black. Doesn't depend on me. Similarly, the nature of that Brahma is revealed in the Upanishad, and all that is said is very clear cut. It's like a science. So that understanding, when it becomes clear, then we meditate and experience it. So these 3 steps are there in Vedanta only. I have been telling you before also. So Shravan, Manan, Niridhyasan. So Shravan is to listen to the Upanishads, to what they are saying about myself. Manan is to understand it clearly, as clear as anything. Absolutely, intellectually it should be, there should not be any doubt about it. So that clarity removes the avidya. Ignorance goes away through this clarity. But experience is not there. But ignorance has gone. All confusion has gone. So to gain that experience, one has to then do niridhyasan. Niridhyasan is again a very technical word. After gaining the right understanding, clear understanding, one leads the buddhi, the mind, in that direction itself. So that the buddhi merges into that supreme, one gains that direct experience of the supreme, our own self. Aproksha anubhuti happens. So may my understanding be very clear. Ma vidvishavahehi. May we not dislike or hate each other. The teacher and the student should have perfect rapport. Then it becomes easy to comprehend. Otherwise, the teacher is saying one thing, student is thinking something else. There is no connection. Cross connection sometimes happen in our telephone and all. Somebody else come and start speaking. शर्मा जी कैसे हो? कौन शर्मा जी? हाँ मैं ठीक हूँ. Sharma ji is also there. Somebody else also comes in between. So there is big confusion is there. I think with mobile it doesn't happen much. All the fun has gone. So there should not be any cross connection. So when the rapport is there, knowledge happens. The Om Shanti 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 Hi. So with this Shanti mantra, let us now begin the study. Om Bhrugurvai Varunihi Varunam Pitaram Upasasara अधीहि भगवो ब्रह्मेति तस्मा एतत् प्रोवाच अन्नं प्राणं चक्षुश्रोत्रं मनोवाचमिति. Again, you repeat. Om Bhrugurvai Varunihi Varunam Pitaram Upasasara Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tasma Etat Provacha Annam Pranam Chakshushrotram Manovachamiti. So this story is there for our easy comprehension. The Shruti is giving this story of a father and son. So the father is giving this knowledge to the son. So the father has the welfare of the son in his heart. So it is authentic knowledge he reveals. So Bhruguhu is the son. Bhrugurvai Varunihi. Bhrugu is the son. Now we don't know exactly which this Bhrugu is. Whether it's the same one that Bhrugu Samhita and all are there. So I don't know. But this just the name is given here. So Bhruguhu Vai Varunihi, the son of Varuna. So one day Bhrugu approached his father. Bhrugu was from this question and from the way we see the whole thing, must have been a very intelligent child. And also he has been educated, means must have definitely studied the Vedas and have spent some time in contemplation. So he knew, he had heard the word Brahma, which is there in the Vedas, Upanishad. So he approached his father, Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. He approached his father. This is also one of the important step actually. Guru Upasadan it is called. Means the student have to approach the teacher. In Gita also Bhagavan says, ki tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That you gain this knowledge after going to the appropriate teacher. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, one who is well versed in the scriptures, well established in that Brahma, you approach such a teacher. So, though he is approaching his own father, he is approaching his father with due respect and reverence. So Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. He approached his father and see the beauty of a very wise person is its brevity, short, crisp. Not telling big stories, Sometimes actually people also ask question, they tell the whole story, 5-10 minutes, and then they say, okay, Swamiji, what's your opinion? So the question, the request, the thing should be crisp, to the point. So here, Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti, bas. एक ही सेंटेंस में उन्होंने सब पूछ लिया, लंबा चौड़ा नहीं. Adhihi, they means our buddhi. Adhihi means make me understand. Make me understand. It is not, he is not asking out of curiosity. He is not asking just for the sake of asking. But there is jidnyasa is depicted in this. Jidnyasa, it is said that one doesn't give up till one gains the final experience. That is called jidnyasa. Avagati paryantam. Avagati means experience. One doesn't give up till one gains the experience. That's called jidnyasa. It's like a fire. नहीं, suppose the head is on fire, you don't, बाद में जाऊंगा, अभी क्या है. Now let me relax, then I will go to the bathroom and pour some cold water on my head. Nothing like that. It will run like a jet engine. So, jidnyasa is a thirst to know and not sit idle till one finds out. It is not about any other karmas like. It is not just blindly doing something or repeating something. See, one is we have karma yoga. It is just sincerely performing our duties. That is one thing. Another is upasana, which is sincerely every day doing some puja or something regularly. That is upasana. But jidnyasa is a proactive thing of struggling to find out the answer and doesn't rest till one gains the final realization. It has got no time limit. It is not that morning 7 to 8 you do jidnyasa, then you go to your office, then you do, then शाम को 1 घंटा जिज्ञासा. ऐसा नहीं. उपासना में वैसा हो सकता है, जिज्ञासा में वैसा नहीं. रात दिन, you should see some of them, the scientists and all, when they have jidnyasa about the world, they are totally engrossed into it. They don't sleep. They are totally, constantly, they dream about it, they talk about it. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam, anyonya tat prabodhanam. Scripture says that you should constantly be talking about it, thinking about it, discussing it, till one recognize and gain that final state of enlightenment. ऐसे ऊपर ऊपर superficial नहीं काम चलता है. So that is been indicated by the term adhihi. Similar term is there in Kaivalya Upanishad also. Adhihi. So adhihi bhagavo. Bhagavo is also another very important word. Bhagavo is Bhagwan. He is addressing his father not as a pop or something like that. Pop, when you say, you don't know whether you are addressing father or you are opening some thumbs up bottle or something. No? So, not like that. Bhagavo means Bhagwan. Because the one who is revealing to us that everything is Brahma, and in him only we don't see Brahma, then we won't be able to see it anywhere else. So, one should have great reverence for the teacher. Even he was father, but that reverence, father or whoever, brother, sister, husband, there are different are there in our scriptures. The Guru Shishya, husband, wife also. Shiv Bhagwan and Parvati, their dialogue, husband and wife. So, Adhihi Bhagavo, oh my dear Bhagwan, please teach me, please make me understand. What? Brahma iti, Brahmeti, Brahma. Brahma he had heard. Brahma we have seen in the previous Valli also. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman So Oshnute Sarvan Kama Ansaha. So that Brahma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. And that Brahma alone is the cause or the source of this entire world. From that only Akash, Vayu, Agni, Tasmad Vai, Tasmad Akashas Sambhutah, Akashad Vayuhu, Vayuragnihi, Agnirapaha, Adbhya Prithivi. In this way, all these five elements and all this world, everything came from that Brahma. So that Brahma is that which is big. Satyam. Satyam is that which is pure existence. Sat. Sanmatra. Existence per se. See, all that we experience in this world, we experience them as existing. So we experience some name, some form, and then we say it is existing. Like this object, we say it is existing. Everything we experience as existing. But what is that which is existence, because of which all this seems to be existing? Like we have different, let us say, sweets. Different types of sweets are there, and you taste them. All of them taste sweet. So we say, oh, sugar is there. All of them are made from sugar. Sugar is present in all the different types of sweets. Therefore, whatever you taste, you experience that sweetness. So some name, some form is there, but sugar is there. Similarly, some name and some form, and we say existing. But what is that because of which we experience this existence? That is that existence per se. Sanmatra it is called. That is indicated by the term Sat, Satyam, then Jnanam, of the nature of knowledge. That because of which knowledge happens through the senses, through the mind. We know. So knowledge. And Anantam, Anantam means infinite, not limited by any time, space, object, infinite. That is how that Brahma was indicated, and elaborately we discussed the five koshas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya iti. So all these koshas. So Bhrigu also must have heard about this Brahma. So but now he wants to experience it. So he is requesting his father कि adhihi bhagavo brahmeti, कि please teach me Brahma. So father, without wasting time, he said, yes. Tasma etat provacha. To him, he said, कि annam pranam chakshushrotram mano vachamiti. He just gave a list of all these things. Annam, food. Pranam, pran. Chakshuhu, eyes. Shrotram, ears. Manaha, mind. Vacham, speech. He said like that, and then after this, he gives the lakshana of that Brahma. Later on, he gives lakshana of Brahma. Ki yato vaimani bhutani jayante and all. So here he just mentions this. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji calls this as the dwar. Brahma upalabdhi dwarani. These are the doorways to recognize the Brahma. Brahma itself is beyond our senses. That which is our nature, that who we really are, is not something which we can see, not which we can imagine, not which we can grasp with our intellect. It is beyond all this. But we are. So that our real nature is that Brahma, which is also indicated as the very source of this entire creation. It is not only my nature, but that Brahma is also the source of this entire world. So how can we comprehend that Brahma? What is the instrument? What are the means? What is the Upalabdhi Dwar, it is called. Upalabdhi Dwar, the doorway to reach there. So those Upalabdhi Dwars are mentioned here first. Annam, Pranam, Chakshu, Shrotram, Mano, Vacham, iti. Annam means our body which is made up of food. To recognize that Brahma, we have to we have to take help of the world. From the known, we have to recognize that which is unknown. The world in which our body and all are there, this is the Karya. Karya means effect. And that Brahma is indicated as the cause. Cause is different from the effect, means the nature of the cause is different from effect, but cause is present in the effect. Suppose, like the pot which is made up of clay. If I don't know clay, I know only pot, I know only the name pot, and I only know the shape pot, but I don't know clay. So I can know that clay only through that pot only, because that clay is there in the pot. Here in this example, the clay is also visible to the eyes, and pot is also visible. But in case of Brahma, the world is visible to my eyes, but the cause is not visible. But otherwise the example is same. Just as the pot and the clay, pot is like the world and clay is like Brahma. But in order to know that Brahma, we have to go through that known. From the known to the unknown. That is the trick, that is the way. So that Brahma, which is the very source and cause of this whole world, is also the source, also my supreme nature. So to know myself, I need to take help of this, my upadhis. From there, from my body, with the help of the body, the pranas, the eyes and all, one can know. So they are called the Upalabdhi Dwar. We'll see what is the importance of them also, we'll know. So Annam is the body, physical body. Without this physical body, we will not be able to know that Brahma. First we have to have a body, and that to a human body. As a ghost we cannot know Brahman. So we have to have a body. See, this body is there through which we interact with the world. Also, lot of our desires get fulfilled because of the presence of the body. If I am thirsty, I can drink water when the body is there and water is there. But if I don't have body, even when I don't have body, I might have thirst. Without body also a person can have thirst. See, just like last time also I think I gave example. Sometimes because of some accident or something, a limb gets cut, or some disease, the doctor says his leg has to be amputated. So leg is not there, but that person might feel some scratching sensation, some pain in the non-existent leg. Because physically it is not there, but the mind, the senses are there. So that pain is also felt, though physically that body is not there. In the same way, body might not be there. As in the scriptures it is said, when we die, we drop the body, but the hunger, thirst, all the desires remain. They don't go. So again we can get water to drink properly if we get another body. Anyway, I don't want to frighten you with that. Now, so Annam is the body, the physical body. It's called Anna because it is made up of food. Such a strange thing, na? Our body is food only. Those who eat non-veg and all this, all the food, all the bodies. We are walking, talking food. Yeah. Luckily, we have evolved not to eat each other, though we eat each other's head, but it's food. Yeah. Somebody told me that there are no cannibals in the world because he ate the last one. Anyway, so this body is food. It is born from food. We have seen it is born with the food which our parents have eaten. So the sar, and then it grows eating food. And ultimately it dies and goes into this Prithvi, which is also food only, because from there only then all these different types of grass and herbs and all grow. So it is just food. But it is a means, it is a dwar to know that Brahma. And therefore it is called Sharira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. That Sharira is the Dharma Sadhan. It's a means to follow Dharma. Also we have to keep it proper. It's Apyayantu Mamangani and always do the Shanti mantra also, that may my limbs be healthy, well nourished. So Anna is the means, one door. But this Anna is then controlled and regulated by my pranas. So the prana also becomes the means, the doorway to know Brahma. Prana, life, that life force which makes this body function. Pranas. So prana, apan, vyan, udan, saman, they are very, very great actually. These are the Kriya Shakti of Bhagwan, Ishvara, the prana. Then we have the Chakshuhu, the eyes, and the ears, Shrotram. So Chakshu and Shrotram are representing all the organs of perception. They are also required. They are also helpful in recognizing Brahma. Chakshu, Shrotram. Even to do Shravanam, you require Shrotram. ऐसा नहीं कि आजकल सुनाई नहीं देते, इसलिए मैं प्रवचन में जाता हूँ. So ऐसा काम नहीं चलेगा. One person used to wear that hearing aid and was listening to pravachan. With lot of attention he was listening, struggling to understand what is happening. After some time he removed those and he just sat quietly there, enjoying the atmosphere. So ears are required for listening to pravachan. And chakshu and all. So all these senses. Then manaha, which is the most important. Manaha represent the antakarana. Mana means mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. These are the inner instrument. Ahankar, the sense of I which we have. It's also a thought. Ahankar, the owner thought. Ahankar is also a thought. But it owns the senses, the mind, the intellect, everything it owns. It says, I am seeing, I am tasting, I am touching. So ahankar, then mana, sankalpa, vikalpa, then buddhi, nishchayatmika, then chitta, in which we have the impressions, the memory, the impressions are there in our chitta. So mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar are the most important, again, instrument by which we can recognize that Brahma. And Vacham. Vacham is speech, which represents all the organs of action. So the Sharir, then this organs of perception, the mind, pranas, and the organs of action. All of them are like the Upalabdhi Dwar to recognize Brahma. So first the teacher mentions this so that the student is clear that he has to take support of this. See, all this language of the Upanishads and all are very brief, like one has to comprehend with the help of the commentaries and all. So, Annam Pranam Chakshush Shrotram Mano Vachamiti. So after saying this, now the teacher has to give some guidance of by which we can recognize that Brahma. So very interesting, the teacher doesn't directly say this is Brahma, so and so, but he gives only the hint, because he wants the student to contemplate, because the contemplation is the means, not knowing the answer and all. Who are you? I am Brahman. Ho gaya, ho gaya. Not like that. Because he also knew that Brahma, but it is contemplating and recognizing it. It's a slow, steady process, systematic process. So after giving the Upalabdhi Dwar, now the teacher is giving the Lakshana of that Brahma on which one has to contemplate. So let us chant that. Tam hovacha yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayantyabhisam vishanti tad vijitnyasasva tad brahmeti satapo tapyata satapastaptva. Tagam hovacha. To him, then again, the teacher said, कि यतो वा इमानि भूतानि जायन्ते येन जातानि जीवन्ति यत् प्रयन्त्यभिसंविशन्ति तद विजिज्ञासस्व तद ब्रह्मेति. You ask for Brahma, these are the lakshanas, these are the, I am giving you hint. You contemplate on this line. What is it? कि यतो वा इमानि भूतानि जायन्ते. Yatah, it is that from whom, from where, imani bhutani, all these creatures, bhutani are creatures, starting from Brahmaji to tiny little ant also, all creatures, all living beings. Brahmaji is the first living being, I mean firstborn, he is called Brahmaji. Then the Virat, and all the Devatas, and all the beings in the other worlds as well as here, human beings, animal, bird, plant, all beings, they are called Bhutani. So, yato va imani Bhutani jayante. Yatah, from where, from whom, all these beings have taken birth, they are born. Yena jatani jivanti, and having born, they live, they survive, they live on whom? Depending on whom, or taking whose support they live. And yat prayanti abhisamvishanti, and later on moving towards that Brahma in whom they merge. I mean, in that destination in which they merge, that is called Brahma, that from which everything has come. in which all these beings live and in which all these beings go back. That is tad vijitnyasasva, that you find out. He says you inquire, you find out, you do contemplation. We'll see how he does. Ki vijitnyasasva and tad brahmeti, that is Brahma. It's like a hint is given. Again, this about this, all this effect, like all the gold ornaments, if we see, so gold ornaments are there. What is gold? Gold is that from which all these ornaments have come. They remain in that and again merges back into that. That's called gold. Similarly, all beings from where they have come, they remain and again merge back. That's called Brahma. Tad vijitnyasasva, you inquire. Vijitnyasasva, inquire into that. Tad brahmeti. So he did not give him the final answer like that Brahma is. He did not give that lakshana as given in the previous Valli, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam and all. And this is a very famous verse. This Yato va imani bhutani jayant. This is how even Brahma Sutra begins. These are the lakshanas given in Brahma Sutra also. This is how even the Bhagavad begins. Janmadhyasya yataha. So it's very famous, very interesting. And then Satapo tapyata, he went and contemplated, and after contemplating he came back. Tomorrow again we will contemplate on this verse and then we will move further. Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.